and welcome to another episode of Ramblin' Rose. Today we're going to talk about bee lawns. I know it's a strange thing. What did I just say? Bee lawn. We've all heard about the plight of the bumblebees and all the honeybees, and Minnesota actually has 425 species of native bees, including 23 species of bumblebees, and we can all do something to help them. We've talked before on Ramblin' Rose about pollinators, so generally things you can do for them is don't use pesticides in your yard, or use them sparingly and don't use them when bees are around. Have a variety of plants that bloom at different times, different shapes, different kinds of flowers, and have constant bloom all season as much as possible. That really helps the bees a lot. Remember some things that you don't think of as flowers, like your vegetable bed. I found a lot of bees on my asparagus this past week, and I never realized that they were there. Herbs, shrubs, trees, everything provides something for the bees. Plant things in clumps so that the bees can find them easily. And then in the fall, try to keep some flower stalks standing so that the stock nesting bees can nest in them over the winter. Various things, milkweed, monarda, hosta, coneflower, joe pye, all of those have different size holes for different kinds of bees, and they will use those. Some people put out mason bee houses or other nesting materials, and that helps the bees a lot. Some soil you want to keep unmulched so that the bees, 80% of the bees around here are ground nesting bees, and so you want to keep some of your area unmulched so that they can be in there and leave some leaf litter down for the winter. And then another thing you can do is consider making at least part of your yard a bee lawn, which is what we're going to talk about next. It's also called a flowering lawn. What we consider weeds actually provide pollen and or nectar to bees. So you might just want to try interspersing some flowers within your lawn, or you might go full on for a no-mow bee lawn. Now for us, we have a lot of acreage here, and right in front of our house, I try to keep a lawn weed-free. I'm willing to just do that much. But pretty much the rest of our place, as you can probably tell, is pretty much a bee lawn on its own. We allow the weeds, we just keep it mowed and allow the weeds and the clover to kind of take over. I decided to try making a bee lawn in another area. Let's go see what I've done. This is my latest experiment. This area we don't ever really use. It's a pain to mow, and so I thought this might be a fun place to have a bee lawn. So the first step, if you wanted to do a bee lawn, is decide an area that you don't like to mow or that you don't use for anything else. You can see the plastic here. What I'm doing is solarizing it. I'm getting rid of all the things that were growing there to give what I want to be there a better chance to live. This plastic will stay in place probably during the hot part of the summer. I might have some issues with getting 100% coverage because it's not very sunny here, so all the weeds might not die, and also I wasn't able to kind of dig in the edges, so around the edges I'll probably still have other things growing. So if you're going to solarize, it takes 6 weeks or more, and during the real heat of the summer is the best time to do that. Before putting down plastic, it should be raked and it should be watered really well. Then the third thing is to decide what you want to plant there. The U of M has been doing a lot of research, and a few things they recommend are a fescue, and the seeds are here. I'm planting a fescue that's a perennial grass that only gets about 6 or 8 inches tall, so I shouldn't have to mow if I don't want to, but I could mow if I wanted to. And then I'm planting clover, also a perennial white clover. And then another thing that people consider weed is called self-heal or heal-all. It's kind of a ground cover, and it gets a little purple flower that the bees really like. So all of these things kind of do okay in the part shade that I have here, so I'm hoping that this will really fill in and be a nice bee lawn for me. There's a lot of different things you can choose. And again, you can look online and find what makes a good bee lawn. Then toward the end of the summer, probably like in end of August, beginning of September, depending on the temperatures, I'll take the plastic off, and then I'll spread my seeds and I'll put a little compost on top. It's best not to rake at that point, because what you do is you expose the other things that were there, their seeds, to the light. And if you want to just have what you want to plant there, it's best not to rake it. So then you would just plant it and keep it watered like any other seeds, watering more frequently at first until it's established. Some sources say to do this in the spring, some say the fall, but really the best thing is to just not do it in the heat of the summer to plant your seeds. After that, you might need to hand pick any things you don't want in there. I hesitate to call them weeds because really what I'm planting is weeds. So you might need to do a little weeding by hand, and then you just kind of sit back and watch the bees in your yard. There have been a lot of Ramblin' Road episodes on pollinators, so the archives might be a good place to start. Otherwise, the U of M Extension site or the Xerxes Society are great places to find all kinds of information about how you can help bees. Hope this was helpful. Talk to you later.